Built to Serve by Evan Carmichael. Welcome to my channel. My name is Samuel and I want to make self-growth normal. If you want to make self-growth normal, because I don't want to do it alone, and who doesn't want to make self-growth normal, then make sure to smash that like button. I encourage you to watch this whole review, by the way, because, writing it out was a roller coaster on its own. Evan Carmichael, YouTuber, entrepreneur, speaker, hell of a thought leader, author of Your One Word. His one word is believe, by the way. For anyone curious, mine's growth. In the last 2 decades, the world has changed so much that asking your parents for advice just doesn't really make sense anymore. It seems generations of people now are looking for answers that they will not find without searching. This book has some pretty interesting answers in it. In this review, I'm going to summarize the content, talk about what stood out to me in each section, and I would talk about what negative reviews had to say, but I barely saw any reviews. So I'm actually going to include my only critique of this book for anyone who's curious about it, and then I'm going to talk about my favorite part of the book, and I guess my favorite part of the book, which is, again, I recommend watching till the end of the review, because listening to it, I was like on the edge of my seat, and I wasn't even sitting down. He begins with an explanation of what happens when you find your purpose, which is really powerful. Reminded me of the 7 levels deep exercise from Dean Graziosi's Millionaire Success Habits. It's powerful because when you know what your purpose is, it's like you're here for this reason. Everything that you're scared of doesn't really matter as much. And you realize who you are, why, and how you can use these two things to serve other people. So let's talk about these things. The who, the why, and the how. Your who is who you are and kind of discovering your core values. Something that stood out in this section is something that I don't think I've really heard before in another book, which is writing a letter to your younger self. Like, what would you say to your younger self? He went over Oprah's letter to her younger self. I've done this before for my 16-year-old self, and I made a video about it, which is definitely one of the best videos I've ever made. There's a link in the description for anyone who wants to check it out. What would you tell your younger self? Please let me know in the comments below. I'm very curious. Your why is your purpose. It's taking the worst time, the worst moment of your life, looking at how you overcame that, and looking to serve others who are experiencing that pain by helping them overcome it. The author has some exercises and questions and stuff in this book to help you kind of figure that out, and all this other stuff if you don't know what it is already. It's important to blast through your purpose despite things that totally scare you. You will experience pain. If you think that you won't experience pain, if you care enough, you'll endure future pain. Like, you will look forward to the things that will cause you to experience pain because of your pursuit of saving others from it. This is serving. He also talks about how to tell a great story. This isn't something I can do on the spot, but I like to think of getting better at it. My coworker told me once that when you're on the phone, you should be taking notes. If anyone read those notes, they would feel like they're with you in that phone, during that phone call, experiencing the feelings of the conversation and what the conversation is about. It's like you have to paint a life experience with just words. What do I have to say about in the how that wasn't talked about in the why? Well, that brings me to my only critique. This is a really specific detail. This is for anyone who's like a freak about details. I still think the book is like exponentially more than worth it because of the last quarter. Evan says in the beginning of the book, and even on his Instagram profile, that his #1 fear is disappointing us. And he also said that he's a visual learner. I am too. So honestly, I'll put it this way. The concept of being built to serve, finding your passion and purpose, and becoming the leader who you're born to be, it's like an umbrella. And he is standing there holding this umbrella for the book's contents. The rain is the chances of him not ultimately getting his point across. The book's contents, they get along with each other, and they all want to stay dry under Evan's supervision. However, to stay under the umbrella in perfect harmony, it would make sense to divide all of them into 3 categories. Your who, why, and how, divided with very straight, solid lines for the sake of clarity. And I think the how is well divided from the who and why, and I think a lot of that is because how is methodological? It's a method. It's how you do things. But who and why, like who you are and why you're here, those are both very, very psychological. Those are very mindset based. And the line between those two, I found it a little bit wet. Is this Evan's fault? I don't even know. Beyond the how, I mean, I know that is kind of a big chunk of the book, but still. That part, I just have never heard anything like it. Call me biased, but I personally just wouldn't even consider it relevant to the equation. Granted, at the end of each section, he summarizes the key points, which is always a big plus, a very big plus. However, the cohesiveness, it's a big challenge of like your who and why. Which would it make more sense to put the preference of working with people to hanging out with them? What would you put that under? Who or why? Isn't a letter to your younger self a lot about why? It's listed under who. I mean, sometimes I watch that letter video of mine that I put out a while ago, but whenever I watch it, I feel like I think a lot more about why I'm here than who I am as a person. Compassion fatigue is under why. Why is compassion fatigue under why? It's stuff like that, but that's really only the kind of speed bump. Everything else was quite a smooth drive, easy listen, except the end. And what do I mean by that? I mean that the end, I found the end at least so useful that not really any adjectives can be used to describe it, as if it's some sort of surface that we travel on using wheeled vehicles. So I'll get to that in just a second, but first let me talk about my favorite part. My favorite part of the entire book is his story of his connection that he made with Howard Schultz, the Starbucks founder. I was dumbfounded. I was like blown away. I couldn't wipe the smile of intrigue off my face. I was just like geeking out the whole time. I feel like in the audio version, I could definitely hear it in Evan's voice, how excited he was about it, and I totally understand why. By the way, the thing about the third door made so much sense. As far as the ending, Evan packed a lot into this book. The last maybe quarter of it, I'm talking about, called Turning Your Purpose into Profits. It might be Passion into Profits, maybe both. It just has a ton of super practical advice. If you've been following content about mindset for quite some time and you're looking for something, literally looking for just like the whole next level of everything, this is it. I mean, maybe it's definitely not the whole thing, but in terms of information, like, it's a really good amount of what you might need. Like, I would straight up, given whatever position I'm currently in right now, I would straight up recommend getting the book for just this part. I've paid for courses, and people are they're charging hundreds, thousands of dollars for very, like, eerily similar information. He talks about here, these are the things he talks about. He talks about free ways to get clients, how to get on his radar. He has over 2 million subscribers on YouTube, how to get on the radar of bigger names, why and how to pick one social media platform to focus on, how to get people to think like you, how to manage doubts and fears, how to tell your story in any amount of time, which I had never considered the true importance of before having fully listened to that part, and way, way more. I couldn't even sum up this stuff. There's just a lot of it, but I mean, this is just the furthest thing from disappointment. The Constitution, Ben Franklin said this, by the way, the Constitution only gives people the right to pursue happiness. You have to catch it yourself. Make money your god and it will fuel you like the devil. Try not to become a man of success, rather become a man of value. I think that structure is required for creativity. Direction 1. I recommend this book for, I mean, there are a lot of different people on different levels who can get quite a bit out of this book. Depends on where you're at. Maybe you have a skill, but you don't really know how to monetize it. Maybe you're trying to start a business, but you don't know how and where to find more clients and generate their interest. Maybe it's none of these. Maybe you're confused and you don't know why you're here, but you want to know, or what skill is best for you to serve in terms of. If any of those descriptions fits you, and those are just the first that came to mind, this book is worth checking out. Some of the info I feel like you could find in lots of places, namely the mindset-based stuff. The beginning about like your finding your purpose and your true value, that part is like pretty concrete. The part about turning your purpose into profits is like, there really are no words. I mean, I would get the book for that reason alone. Direction 2. If you like this book and you still haven't checked out Your One Word, I definitely recommend checking that out. You might also like, I mean, again, actually, I have a lot of other recommendations that I could probably make, but it depends on what you're looking for. Because this book does have like a really big like palette of different things that it offers. Built to Serve by Evan Carmichael. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video, if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people will watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe, but if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to receive a notification every time I drop a new video, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere and I will see you then.